There is a permanence within the fabric of cosmic time, of a balancing kind of nature to our psyche. Something about the repetitious act of telling the same stories, no matter how obnoxious we may find them to be, impresses this upon us. It doesn't matter how many times we hear our relatives regurgitate the news that the markets are rationing tissue paper, because as long as we repeat the fact that the cosmos have existed longer than tissue paper, longer than tissue paper has, we can begin to manage that will be more than okay. It seems trivial to say, part of it is. However, nonetheless, these are ways of reminding ourselves of the permanence we have with the cosmos. It's a means by intimating that kind of knowledge. What is that uncle offering us in the retelling of those stories he loves to tell? Could he be offering us samples for the permanent? Our ancestral predecessors served this important function. With every iteration of every story they love to tell, they remind us of that old idea by the philosopher Vico set forth by him as ricorso. Sigmund Freud associated duplication with death. It was his belief that the motivational tendency was a tendency supplanted in biology. This tendency's initial projection is to reinstate a prior state. The duplicated tale characterizes a portion of our previous state. In the act of duplication, the tale telling removes, even if only gradually, forces that subdue our history. The act of duplication also alleviates perturbation and extends imagination. This innate motivational tendency desires, according to Freud, to place us in a condition of true inorganic potential. Urges that cause us to duplicate the specificity of certain stories are signs of a deadening factor at work. Soul is having some work done in this occasion, in this instance. Our current vision of repetitious acts, due to primarily because of mainstream psychology's failure to view soul in its line of study, is one of biological matter en route toward a prime condition metaphysically to be achieved, a sort of standby condition. Our least favorite uncle's bothered response when we express our annoyances in being subjugated to his duplicated acts is proof of his drive to his optimal zone. Sharing the same old sustains his vitality for life. Some way, somehow, duplicativeness blocks the essence of time from flowing through. Where is the fluctuation in our uncle's variation when he tells us the same story? Neither the story or the storyteller modify, maintaining vitality and deriving gratification from this natural tendency toward arriving at an optimal zone of approximation becomes primary in the tempo of duplicating a story. For the sake of illustration, let's just say we extracted duplication out of the storyteller. For imaginative purposes, let's say we were to take out the natural tendency within a person to a force of power contained inside a story. In other words, from what would be contemporary psychology to anachronistic customs. In such hypotheticals, we would have to acknowledge to certain degrees that there are specific stories which impress themselves onto the prototype of orator. Without question, most definitely an orator of aged like quality. Somehow, someone, or rather, someone who customarily portions himself on behalf of our forebears. There is an essence in what we would otherwise differ to as myth, which is separate from any notion which drives us to these inorganic states of optimal zones of approximation.